let's start with past lives. That remembering of our past lives takes a lot of trusting yourself. Because if you remember a past life, it's like, oh, well, I just made that one up. Boy, don't I think I'm hot stuff. The ego kind of will lodge in there and start saying that, who do you think you are? And that's a good question. Who do we think we are? And can we and are we ready to be able to remember, imagine, think of other incarnations? How do you feel about that, Danny? I'm going to let you go on a bit now.
I love what you said about trusting yourself, because this isn't information that you can just get online or in a book, because it's coming from inside of yourself. And so there's that internal bank of wisdom that resides in your soul that will sometimes peek through in different parts of your brain through a dream, or like you were saying, Sue, through a memory. And it's up to us if we want to trust that or the information that we get from that.
It's really important that we write that down right away, because our 3D brain, it's going to be gone. And so I have a habit of, I always have a pencil and pen around somewhere in case it comes in, like if I'm in the car or something. Not when I'm driving, of course, but if we don't bring it into the third dimension, we lose track of it. What do you do, Danny, to help you remember what you remembered? Remember what you remembered, yeah.
For me, it depends a lot on what I'm remembering. So, for example, if it has to do with a place on Earth, I've had a lot of pyramid Egypt memories. I'll look up pictures of Egypt or paintings of ancient Egypt and just kind of sit with whatever emotions or feelings or things that are coming up inside of me to see if that kind of gives me some more insight into what I experienced or what I remembered. And then another thing that I found really helpful, actually after talking with you, Sue, about this, is drawing it out, being able to put color and form down on a piece of paper. Even if you feel like you're not a good artist, it communicates something different to you just by doing that. So that's what I do. But what about you, Sue?
Well, I know if I don't document it in some way, it's going to be gone, because when we get higher information, our brain isn't used to it. We're used to how to drive a car and, how to make breakfast, and we're used to those kinds of things. When we are bringing in something new, we need to document it and then share it, because it doesn't come to us, it comes through us. So when we get higher information, higher dimensional information, then that's like really an honor. On the big picture, it means that it is real, but it isn't necessarily real in a fashion that our third dimensional self can make sense of it. And so we kind of like push it away and say, oh, that was really a weird concept. And with me, when the Arcturians came in, they're the ones that said, write it down, write it down, write it down. And so when I started writing it down, I realized that when we get information from a higher perspective of reality that we don't have our daily life in, we can't keep a hold of it unless we document it in some manner. I've been feeling the Galactics a lot lately. They're ready to come here, waiting for us to be ready to accept them coming here. As you look through different movies and things, more and more, sci-fi movies, more and more going into outer space movies, more. It's like the humans are being prepared.
I find that really interesting, that it's more of a focus now than it has been in a long time, or ever, for that matter. But this also brings up an interesting point about the Galactics and past lives and memories, because you and I have talked about this quite a bit, of remembering lives on ships on different planets like Arcturus and the Pleiades.
There was a moment that helped me to understand more, was when my mother died, and I kind of like walked her through, in a way. Not that I said it to her, because she was not the type of person that would even begin to get that, but she did get it in the higher part of her, and that kind of brought up like a beginning of, there is a way to, like you climb upstairs, you could take your consciousness upstairs. And there really isn't a right way or a wrong way to do that, because that's specific to each person.
Yes. It sounds like it's also specific to what you're going through at that moment in your life. So, like with your mother, for example, like that kind of awareness of climbing up that consciousness ladder probably came in at that right moment because you were being of service to someone else.
Yes. I think the being of service to someone else makes a big difference, because moving into the higher frequencies of reality are based on doing service to others. And it's when you go down the ladder into the third dimension where people very often have become quite self-absorbed and only care about what's going on with them, and how famous they are, how much money they have, all those types of things. But those earthly desires are totally contradictive to higher dimensional desires. And so one has to kind of decide. And the decision is kind of based on, are you there to assist and help others? Or are you there to just assist and help yourself? Because that's a very third dimensional construct. And not that it's bad to take care of yourself. In fact, it is the beginning of moving into higher frequencies. Because if you don't take good care of yourself, you won't have the health to do it. You won't think that you're important enough to receive that information. So there is that component to it as well. The Galactics are the higher dimensional, the fifth dimensional beings, are being called now to interface more and more with the planet Earth, because the humans have done a whole lot more damage than they have any idea that they've done. Look what's happening now on Earth. There's all kinds of weird things that are happening. Things that have never happened before. The water drying up and the big temperature changes. And it's like Gaia is saying, look, humans, I am getting tired now. I need you to help me, the body of land the third dimensionals live on. That's a hard concept for a lot of people. But for people that are awake, it's a very easy concept, because I think when we wake up, one of the first things that happen is that our higher self says, congratulations for remembering that you are not just a third dimensional. You volunteered to wear a third dimensional vessel because the third dimensional planet of Earth is being gravely damaged.
We are part of the planet too, and we forget that it's not just the story of the humans on Earth, it's the story of the Earth, and that encompasses everything. So we are really the only component of the Earth that resists that unity and resists that natural flow of progression and of ascension. And that's really what's happening now. Even though we're resisting against it, Earth coming into her true multidimensional, fifth dimensional form, it's still happening. And the upheaval and the chaos that's happening, we can be contributors to that, or we can be those doctors. We can be those doctors to the darkness in a way, and give love where it needs to be given, and share light where it needs to be shared.
Yes. No, that's really powerful what you said. And just to re-say it in a little different way, is that what we are feeling is what we need to listen to first. Because what we are thinking, we've all been taught that you should think this way and you should think that way. And this is a good way to think and this is a bad way to think. There's been more training, and the Galactics are coming because if they don't come and assist and teach humans how to raise their consciousness to a higher frequency, then at the beginning, they will not be able to stay with the planet. When I first got in connection with the Arcturians, that was the very first thing they said. Right at the very beginning, they said, you've got to change how the humans are treating the planet.
Yes, because we haven't evolved to the point where we could live anywhere else or massively go anywhere else. We're not evolved spiritually, collectively like that, and we're not even technologically advanced enough to do any of that. So, I mean, we really are where we are, and we need to get comfortable with the fact that where we've been is trying to give us a wake-up call. The living being that we've been living on is trying to give us a wake-up call. And there is that cosmic connection of being able to see that we are just one cell in this universe. And we don't want this cell of our little corner of the universe, to make all the other cells around us sick or not functioning like the cell should. And so we need to start with ground zero. We need to start with this planet, and that will automatically shift the connections we have with other planets and with other beings that live on them.
And we'll be able to actually see the higher beings that are on the planet, but they resonate to a frequency that our third dimensional self can't see. So there is actually ships that are here to help us, humanoid type beings that are here to help us. But in order for us to really accept that help, we have to raise our consciousness. We have to go into meditations. We have to learn how to love the planet that we're on, love the life that we have, take responsibility for our own actions, and realize that we are not alone. And if we can call out and call into the higher spheres and say, there's a lot of humans here that are not going to, they're not going to change. What do we do about this? What can we do? Will the humans wake up, or will they stay asleep? There are a lot more galactic beings. Right now, what they're doing is that they're moving around in a frequency that people that are awake can see them, but people that are asleep can't see them because, it's a higher frequency. And so they're coming around and they're saying, get ready, get ready, get prepared, get ready, get prepared. What we're getting ready and prepared for is our remembrance, remembering who we were in our galactic ship, when and how we decided that we would volunteer to go to Earth because Earth needed humans who would take good care of the planet. More and more, there'll be more and more people that will be coming in to assist Gaia. They're here.